Hey, what's up everybody? Today is October 17th, 2024 at 7:44 a.m. and this is vlog 64. Alright guys, you may notice that we have a brown animation desk here and we have an animation desk here. So this was sliced and modeled right after I 3D modeled it and released a vlog for that day, and this was the result. And we're going to go over to Bambu Studio in a little bit. I'm going to show you the amount of supports that came with this and that needed to be cleaned up. I also printed it out using the AMS and I didn't quite like the result. There were some issues that happened with it and I actually did talk about it yesterday night, so I have a video of that and also talking about all the changes I want to implement, and I'm going to go ahead and insert that video here. Hey, what's up everybody? Today is October 16th at 5 p.m. and as you can tell, the Bambu Lab A1 with the AMS light combo is filled to the max, and the reason is we got a little test print of the traditional animation desk pen cup, and we're going to go over this today, and I'm going to go over some refinements that I intend on making. Now before we do that, I do want to actually show you the large amounts of purged filament. This is all from that print there, as well as this purge tower, which looks real funky there. Might be because the filament is moist, not quite sure, but yeah, that's also a lot of filament. All right guys, so here is that test print I did, and I can show you in the computer on Bambu Studio, but there was a lot of filament here holding this up, down at the bottom holding this up, as well as for each shelf here, 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 and here, all being held up by supports. Now, I printed this using the AMS light combo. I have 2mm walls, and for pens, they should hold up just fine, as well as for decorative purposes. It should work out perfectly. Now, there's some issues that I saw with this. I don't know exactly what happened here, but it's on the side where the purge tower was, and also in here, if you can see that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could pick that up in there. So there is also this. It looks like there's some of the black filament that somehow got in there. Here we have some blue filament. And here in the white, we have some black filament. Although the colors are off, and that was kind of intentional, I do have the colors I need now. I had ordered some filament where we can print it the colors I want to. There's going to be some changes needing to be done on this thing. So the first thing that I want to consider doing is either hollowing out these parts here, which is just this drawer unit section, or decreasing the infill even more. Currently it's at 10%. Maybe I can do like a 7% or even a 5% infill here. The second thing I want to change, so I can capture these drawer lines some more, is that I want to print out each drawer separately and kind of just have like a hole that I can put in post-processing. Now, I know I mentioned I want to make this with as little post-processing as possible, but I honestly value having a higher quality looking product than having no work being done on this and trying to print it out all in one go. And not only do I want to print it out separately, it has to snap fit in some way when I put these drawers in, and we can have actual physical holes that really show the drawers very well. Likewise, if we zoom in to these handles here, all that detail I put in just doesn't show up because it's so small. And like in the film industry, if something's not really a hero object or going to show too much in screen, we usually just model in a lot less details and just kind of get the gesture of it. If you guys are familiar with gesture drawing, it's kind of like getting the idea of it and the shape, silhouette, and all that. In this case, I think I could just get the silhouette of it, and what that means is before I made the hook come around that and make a loop, I had kind of like the look of it in like a block form, and I think that's what I'm going to do. And I also am going to print the handles out separately as well. The other things I'm going to print out separately is the shelves. I'm really hoping I can print this entire piece out in one go, and then once it's done I could slide it into place and it'll just stay. Likewise with this one, likewise with these two here. Now for the disc, I want to print that out separately along with the plexiglass. It could just snap together real easily, kind of like a snap fit, and likewise once that's together I could put the entire disc into this
angled area where the animator draws. There is one thing I wanted to ask you guys is, would some of you prefer this without the pen cup and just the actual desk itself, just as kind of a fun piece to put on your desk? I would love to know what you guys think about that. Now, although this 2mm wall can definitely hold up pens, I kind of want to have it just a little thicker, just because I feel like it feels a little more high quality. So instead of 2mm walls, I'm going to go ahead and do 3mm walls, and that should give me the denseness that I'm looking for. So along with those walls there, I don't know exactly how thick each one of these are. I don't know how thick this is in particular, but they seem to be about 1mm thick, or a little over a millimeter, but definitely not 2mm, because you can tell the difference between this and this. It's just a small difference. But I want this at least to be 1mm, these walls, so that it's a little more dense and has a little bit more of a stronger look. And another adjustment I want to make is perhaps tilting this a little bit more down, or raising this middle shelf up, so when I do go to put it in, I have enough space to slide that shelf into the holes that are going to be there. And the last thing I want to change up is I want to pretty much put a center divider in here, something like that, because when I put a pen in there, it just goes all the way inside pretty much and is pretty much sitting horizontally. But with this center divider, I know that I can put a pen in there and it'll stand right up. So there's a lot of space, but at the same time, I do need to divide that space up well. And I feel like this would do the trick. There is one thing I totally forgot to mention, and that is I shrunk this down in Bambu Studio, so it's a little smaller. And I totally forgot to mention that, which means that these walls aren't actually 2mm. They're actually probably closer to 1. So, or probably 1.5. With that in mind, I also need to thicken the walls so they are matching the new size that I printed at, because I feel like this is the perfect size for this piece. All right, guys, that about does it in here. Now I'm going to jump into Maya and apply all those changes, and I'll see you when that's done. All right, guys, and welcome back. So I implemented all those adjustments so that, for one, we can use less support material. As I put it in, it should be snug and grips whatever's fitting into each other real well. I'm not calling it snap fit because it doesn't have any sort of clips or anything like that, but it's so snug that it should fit in real nicely. And if you guys have been around, you guys are familiar with this tolerance test that I found on Bambu Studio, and I did a 0.5mm for everything. It was kind of a tedious process to go in and make everything 0.5mm, so I did all that off camera. I also did all the updates off camera, but I'll be going over it in a moment. And so this 0.5mm tolerance will allow me to, I'm pushing on it and it's not moving unless I push really hard. It will allow it to be real snug in there. So that tolerance test is useful, by the way, real useful. I forgot who did it, but it's on Maker World. By the way, it is 68.4 degrees Fahrenheit in a 3D printer room with a 65% humidity level. That's actually pretty humid. It doesn't feel that way, but it is. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's a new addition to the mugs. This is a little Mickey mug that I got from Shop Disney. It's pretty weighty. It's got a nice weight to it, so it feels good when you're drinking out of it. And I thought it was going to be smaller, but it's actually pretty big. And you know what? I don't mind that. A little more coffee. Nothing like a nice warm cup of coffee on a cold morning. By the way, for those of you who are new to the channel, this is my tiny 3D print farm of 5 Bambu Lab A1 3D printers. I started this tiny 3D print farm with 5 Creality CR10 SEs, but if you go back and see some of my videos, particularly in my shorts, I explain why I kind of switched over. But nonetheless, with these Bambu Lab A1 3D printers, I print out a set of plates and latches. Here is the left latch, printed out in gray PETG, and all these are printed out in gray PETG. The right latch, left plate,
which looks real nice. And we have the right plate over there. Now these four make one set, and they connect to a larger product that I don't really talk about because these are the only 3D printed parts and we focus on 3D printing here. And production is currently on pause because we needed to make 300 units and we achieved that amount, and now we're putting together the product, and that's taken a very long time. We're just about over halfway through assembling all the units, but we still got a bit of a ways to go. And once we finish, we're expected to get some more orders. And the Bambu Lab A1 with AMS light I got so that I can finish off near empty spools of filament with its great auto refill function. So basically, once this gray PETG reaches about here, it's a near empty spool of filament that can't finish a latch or a plate on its own. I take it over to the AMS light and I load them up with near empty spools, and it starts to print out a plate or a latch. And once the spool finishes out, halfway through the print, it just switches over to another near empty spool and finishes off the print. And that's why I got this AMS light combo. By the way, all this stuff is available on my Maker World for free download, including this stealth TV tray, this stealth French side table, along with a couple of cool characters you guys can check out. Green from Rainbow Friends, the laser blade from Lightyear, pen cups, thrones for your phone, and these are all from Star Wars. And it's all available for free download on my Maker World, linked in the description below. And by the way, if you guys are interested in the PETG that I'm printing with, the gray and the black, I have it up on my Etsy shop, and that's also linked in the description. Alright guys, so we're back here to this newly printed traditional animation desk pen cup. So I went ahead and I printed out this white plexiglass along with the animation disc and the handles in different colors on different machines. However, I did some research and I think there might be a function where I can print out one object in one color completely and then move on to another object sequentially and print it out in that color. And when that finishes, it'll print out the next thing in the sequence in a different color, and so on and so forth. And that's called sequential printing with the AMS. So hopefully that actually works, and we can get everything printed out on one plate in the future. But nonetheless, here's the new version, and looks great, by the way. And basically, we just grab this, and I don't know if you heard that, but it just snaps right into place. You have your animation disc there. I'm gonna go ahead and collect these handles. We're just gonna start taking these off the print bed. All right, that was pretty clean. I'm gonna set that aside. All right, I loosened those up, so I'm just gonna pop this back on. All right guys, so here's all the pieces, and I'm gonna go over all the changes I made. So I went ahead and I separated the shelves up here, as you can tell, and I made this thicker. I made pretty much everything thicker and standard because I had shrunken it down in Bambu Studio after I had 3D modeled it, and so all the measurements that I had made didn't, hold up. So I went in after the fact, and with that same smaller size, I adjusted it so that it's thicker and stronger. And boy, I'll tell you what, I really like this thicker version better. It feels more high quality as opposed to this here, which I think was about 1.5 millimeters or maybe 1.25 millimeters. But nonetheless, I'm gonna go ahead and clean off the supports. All we've got is this here that supports these as well. And for the most part, that was really easy. We do have a drooping string here, but that doesn't seem to be part of anything really. That was probably one of the easiest support cleanups ever. And this is printed out in PETG, by the way, brown. And let's go ahead and see how this plexiglass fits in. It fits great. It just doesn't have that snap that I thought it would. Maybe instead, I can apply just a tad bit of glue in the back. That'll hold it in place. And I want to apply as little as possible, just like that. Just a little dab to hold it there. All right. That's actually looking really sweet so far. So next, I'm gonna go ahead and apply all the handles to all the drawer units I made here. So here's one drawer and one handle. That should fit in real snug like. I do see some excess filament there, so let me just take that off. There you go. There you have it. That's actually really snug in there and looks great. And let's see how it fits in here. Honestly guys, that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to show those cracks there, real smooth like. And it's in there real snug. I love that. Now I'm gonna do the same thing for the middle drawer. Just gonna grab that middle drawer, grab the handle, Pop that in just like that. And I'm gonna pop it in this way, just like that. All right, that's looking good. And last but not least, I had noticed that the top and bottom parts didn't print out. I must have made it too thin. However, I am gonna give it a try, but I think after I pop this drawer in. So I'm gonna give that a pop in there, and let's see if we can get it to fit. So now I'm gonna put the handle in there. All right, guys, so that fit in there like it needed to. Very cool. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do the other side off camera. All right, guys, so that's both of the drawers put in. We're gonna just go ahead and start putting in the shelving units. And that fit in real snug like, which is nice. Now for this one here, just like that. Now we can go ahead and do the middle shelf here. All right, just like that. That is looking really nice. And last but not least, the top shelf. All right, guys, that is looking so nice. And honestly, what a cool piece. What a good memory towards the traditional animation desks and the craft. All right, guys, so I did want to go over what we had done before, which was we just shrunk this down from its original size, which was about that large. I feel like that would have been way too much. So we shrunk it down to about that size, which made all the walls much thinner. And so as you can see here, the handles are how they are in real life, but that didn't print out very well at all on the model. So I also updated that, and I think I forgot to mention that when I was discussing the physical 3D print. But I want to come in here and kind of show you what I did. So I have 3 wall loops. We're using triangles and a 10% infill. And all that's really being filled in are these. The walls are just too thin to be filling in anything. Maybe the bottom of the pen cup. We also have a purge tower. And if you go over to support, I'm just using auto tree support with support critical regions only here checked on. And I do have some settings here that I did adjust so you can see it here. This is kind of my standard PETG tree support settings that I have saved out as like a saved profile. So let's go ahead and slice this, and you're gonna see that there are just so many supports here. And I did want to go through a refining process with this animation desk pen cup, which was pretty much modeling it in such a way where it's easy to 3D print and uses as little tree supports as possible. And as you can see there, we got tree supports all up in here, on this shelf, that shelf, down at the bottom, supporting that shelf as well, and also a purge tower. And so let's check this out. It's going to take 17 hours and 28 minutes to finish this model. So in total, we're looking at 296.87 grams of filament to finish this version here. So we'll call that unrefined. So let's go ahead and open up the refined version. And like I said, I do want to check out sequential printing, so all those smaller little pieces aren't printed out on separate printers. But nonetheless, this is the layout that I have now. I separated the drawers so that we can see those seams better. I also separated the handles so that they print out in a higher quality, which they certainly did. And I also changed the way they look, where they're kind of gestural instead of looking exactly the same as they do in real life, because that just wouldn't have worked on such a small scale like this. And let's check out the strength. Same, I did 3 wall loops, triangles, but this time I did a 5% infill because I felt like that would have been enough for something like this, and it certainly was. Again, support critical regions only, and the same old default settings that I got going on for my supports. So I'm gonna go ahead and slice that. And so let's go ahead and write all this stuff out. So we have the main desk, which takes a total of 215.99 grams of filament, and it takes 7 hours and 47 minutes. So that's a huge difference. That's literally about a 10-hour difference already. The filaments are looking almost the same, except that we're not wasting a bunch of filament on tree supports while having a weak product. Instead, we're having a denser product that feels more high quality. But nonetheless, there are other parts such as the handles, as well as the plexiglass, as well as the animation disc. So let's go ahead and open those files up, and we can tally up all the filament usage as well as the time. All right, so here are the handles. They're real small, and as you can tell, it's just kind of gestures of what the handle looks like. It's the shape, but not so much that curved look. And they printed out great. And it's the same exact settings as the main desk. I'm gonna go ahead and slice this now. And this only takes
9 minutes and 24 seconds. So I'm just going to go ahead and put 10 minutes. And this in total is using 0.4 grams of filament. So it's not even 1 gram of filament. All right, let's go over to the plexiglass. And same thing, guys. It's just the same settings. Here's that plexiglass. Very straightforward and simple. I'm going to go ahead and slice that. And in no time at all, it's ready. And this takes 7 minutes and 16 seconds. So I'm just going to go ahead and call it 8 minutes. And this takes, again, 0.46 grams of filament, which between these two are still under 1 gram of filament. Then we have the animation disc. And again, all the same settings. I'm going to go ahead and slice that. And for the animation disc, it takes 10 minutes and 6 seconds, which I'm just going to write 10 minutes. And this takes 1.26 grams of filament. So if we were going to add this all up, so we got 7 hours and 47 minutes. So we'll go 47 plus 10 for the handles, plus 8 for the plexiglass. And let's add another 10 minutes to the animation disc. So we got 8 hours and 15 minutes total for the print time. And in parentheses, we're going to write the difference. So we got 17 hours and 28 minutes. So the difference here between the unrefined and the refined in time is 9 hours and 13 minutes. So that's a huge cut in time. Let's see about filament usage. We have 215.99 plus 0.4 plus 0.46 plus 1.26. So that gives us 218.11 grams of filament. And before we're using 296.87, which gives us a difference of 78 grams of filament, which again is a pretty decent difference. So this is what we can do when we take the time to refine our models. And I'm really glad I did it for this one. We can save print time as well as filament usage. And instead of using a bunch of purged filament, a purged tower with all these supports, I use that filament to make the walls thicker and make it feel more dense and strong. But that about wraps it up here, guys. I'll see you out in the real world. All right, guys. Well, that about wraps it up for this here animation desk pen cup. And I'm really happy with the result. And as you can see, there was only this much support material that was generated. And this one had all that support material that was generated, including that purge tower. So this is the importance of refinement. Although the walls are thicker on this one, it feels way more high quality. It's not like easily bent like this one. All that filament that was wasted is now used on intentionally making the product better. So with this animation desk pen cup, we can now maybe grab USBs or SD card readers, pop them in there. We can put some pens and pencils or whatever you'd like to put in there, honestly. And let's see if like a USB style thing would fit. Yep, it does. And there you have it, guys. This is the animation desk pen cup, and I'm going to be making this available on my Etsy shop. So by the time this video comes out, it should be in the shop already. I cannot be more happy with how this turned out. I'm going to go ahead and take some pictures of this and get it ready for the upload. And that about wraps it up for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, peace, love, and joy.